Hello everyone, this is Clayton Osler with Content Watch. Thank you for waiting while we get things situated and allow some more people to log in for today's webinar. Today our webinar topic is going to be on how to control apps and content on Nanny for Android. We're going to cover a little bit about the industry, why this is important, and then we're going to do a short tutorial on how to do this with the Nanny application. I appreciate all of your time and your patience while we get started today. We're going to go ahead and start today's demonstration. What I'm going to do, just so you're aware, is I'm going to leave this demonstration in listen-only mode. What that means is that obviously I will be showing you some things on the screen. We're going to be going through some tutorials and a lot of great information today. But to kind of help move things on, we're going to leave the audio portion in listen-only mode. To allow you to ask questions, here in GoToMeeting we have an available option to ask a question in the question form. So that's what this picture here is showing you. If you have a question, I will try to make sure we answer all of the questions either during the demonstration or at the end of the demonstration. So if something doesn't get answered that you're interested in or you need additional information, please make sure at the end of the demonstration that you stick around and ask any questions you need answers to, and we will make sure that myself or some of the other technicians that are going to be on the call with us answer those calls for you. Again, thank you for your time. Thank you for your interest. We're grateful for your dedication in learning technology and protecting your family and your mobile devices and your PCs and computers for that matter as well. Obviously, to introduce Nanny, we have been around for quite a while. Nanny is a well-known company throughout the world. Our primary goal is to protect families from cyberbullying and sexual predators, inappropriate content, and to help people maintain their privacy and safety on the internet. Nanny is available in all over the world, and it's currently sold in 157 countries, and we've served over 1 million families in the world right now. I just want to talk a little bit about some mobile trends because that's today's topic. Obviously, we're going to talk about protecting mobile devices with Nanny for Android. This first slide basically just gives some information about apps installed on Android devices. Google announced just a short time ago that the number of unique apps in Google Play now exceeds 650,000 apps. So there's a lot of unique apps out there. They also say that more than 20 billion mobile apps have been installed on Android devices. If you look at this graph below with me, this represents the difference between app usage and a mobile web browser usage. Mobile web browsers would be when you go to an internet site, access content like CNN.com or maybe you go to Yahoo.com. That would be a mobile web browser. Apps, however, if you take a look at this graph, are slowly taking over. This graph represents the number of minutes used per month in billions either in a mobile app or in a mobile web browser. And if you look at this over time, the mobile web browsers stayed fairly constant. However, the number of mobile apps that are being used is growing all the time, and the amount of apps that are being used. If you look at this other slide with me, this represents malicious or malware apps. So obviously, just like with any operating system, like most of us are used to with Windows or our PCs, when something starts to become adopted, malicious or malware apps become available or created and distributed in an attempt to infect our devices or obtain personal information. This is one of those threats that's available. I shouldn't say available. That's a thorn in our side in mobile. The number of malware or viruses has increased 580% since Q4 of 2011 to Q3 of 2013. And this graph here represents the number of mobile apps that are malicious or that could have malware embedded in them. Google estimates about 175 million infected or malicious apps have been installed on mobile devices. So you can do some math on that. There's a pretty good chance that you or someone you know has installed a malicious application. So the question most people ask is, well, why do I care? What does it matter? What does this malware do when it gets installed? And some of it can be really benign or small. Something as simple as stealing your phone number and selling it to advertisers, or pushing out ads to you that you don't necessarily want to see. But on a more serious level, people could capture your ID, your credit card information, your bank information. They could install new apps on your device that maybe make phone calls or use data that you're unaware of. So it's something to be aware of. Malicious apps are important to be aware of. But they're not something that necessarily we need to be scared of, and I'm going to show you why and how you can actually manage that on your devices a little bit. Some trends in the industry that I think are important to kind of understand as we talk about mobile apps on devices. In 2012, 61.2 million video viewers are using their mobile devices to watch videos. That's a really high number, and it's expected to reach 73.3 million by 2013, but the interesting number is that by 2016, 110 million people will be using their mobile devices to watch videos. That's a lot of people watching videos. Currently, there's 77.7 million people using things like Facebook or Twitter with their mobile devices. People are getting away from using their PCs. They now use their mobile devices to communicate with other people. And again, that number is expected to increase to over 107 million by 2014. The last one I just wanted to show you comes from eMarketers, and they're looking at the data regarding who uses their mobile devices to purchase and listen to music. Obviously, you can see from this graph that the number's growing rapidly. The amount of music that gets listened to is staggering. The millions of users or mobile users that listen to music right now is over 37 million, and it's expected to be over 52 million by the end of 2014. Now, because companies are aware of this, they're all developing applications that you can use to listen to this music or watch the videos or communicate on your social networking. And these are all great things. However, mixed in with potential malicious applications or other applications that maybe you don't want on your device, it poses some issues. And so today what I want to talk about is the product NetNanny for Android. And NetNanny for Android provides solutions to allow you to manage not only the content but the apps on your mobile devices for Android. So what I would like to do today is kind of show you a little bit about NetNanny for Android. I'm going to switch back and forth between a few things so that you can get an idea of how it works. NetNanny for Android, it's simple to install. You can get it from the Google Play Marketplace, or you can get it from the Amazon Marketplace. The app, once installed, let me see if I can show you, is very non-intrusive. So what I'm showing you right here is an Android telephone that's got NetNanny installed. Now once it's installed, you'll notice up here in the top right hand corner in my case, or where the taskbar is, wherever that would be on your tablet or your phone, there's a NetNanny icon right up here at the top. If I drop down and tap on that icon, I can get information that NetNanny is running on this mobile device, and I can get information about which policy I applied to NetNanny or to the device when I installed it. And the install process, like I said, it's very simple. It has you create a username and password. You can actually get a trial of this for free, like I mentioned in the Android Marketplace, and it will just walk you through setting up an account and then setting up a profile. So if I tap on account information, what this shows me is the name of the user that we've associated with this device. So you see here that Skippy's using this device, and the categories that we've selected to allow and block for this mobile device. From there, NetNanny's running all the time. It runs as a service. We've done a lot of work to make it kind of bulletproof as far as circumvention, so kids can't just uninstall it or remove it. You can't just go to settings and remove NetNanny. It requires a password. And along with protecting the device from inappropriate content, we're also monitoring the applications that are on the device. Now, I'm going to jump away from this device right now and go to the way that you manage NetNanny and control what kind of content is on your mobile devices. So, in a practical world, if you put NetNanny on one of your children's phones or tablets, or even on someone else's device that you're going to manage for them, you don't necessarily want to get the device back to make changes and see information about that device. So the way that this is organized and architected is that you can actually manage NetNanny from any device that has a web browser. So if you simply just go to admin.netnanny.com, you can use the username and password that you established when you set up NetNanny to manage your mobile devices, their settings, their applications, and I'll give you a short tutorial about this. Home here basically just gives us an overview of the content or the kinds of websites that our mobile users have been accessing, the phones, the tablets, whatever we're monitoring. If I go to the User tab, we can see here all of the different NetNanny profiles that I've created. Now, you may only have one if you've only set up NetNanny once. I have multiple devices, and so I like to have unique profiles per device. That's not a requirement either. You can actually have all your devices share a profile if you want to do that. So it's very easy to manage. But you'll notice here, from the device we just looked at, it was associated with Skippy. So I'll click here on Skippy, and we'll take a look at Skippy settings. Immediately, we see the categories that we allow and block, and this is based on web content, where the user goes in his or her web browser. So in this case, I'm blocking pornography websites, I'm warning on gambling websites. The green are allowed, the red are blocked. Orange represents that it's warned, but it's not blocked. Someone could actually continue on. We're using the profanity masking that's embedded in NetNanny to mask profane or vulgar language that's embedded in a web page. This is all pretty easy to understand. Simply, if you want to change a category, it's as easy as tapping on the category and selecting allow, warn, or block, and then it changes instantly. Again, this doesn't have to be on a device running NetNanny. This could be from your iPad, from your cell phone that maybe doesn't have NetNanny installed, from your PC, anywhere that has access to the internet and a web browser. Now, a lot of users call our tech support and say, okay, well, this is great, but I've gone in and I've blocked these categories, and then I've gone into maybe overrides and blocked a specific website, but my kids are still going to Facebook, maybe, for example. And I don't want my kids going to Facebook. And what we have learned is that these users aren't using a web browser to access Facebook. They're using a mobile app. Back to the slides that I showed at the beginning of the demonstration, it makes a lot of sense. People don't open a web browser and go to Facebook on a mobile device. They open the Facebook app. And so to be able to manage that, we have to go outside the realm of blocked and allowed categories within a web browser and jump into the apps. So you'll notice right here next to categories, I have an option for apps. I'll click here on apps. NetNanny, because it's installed on my mobile device, took an inventory of all the mobile apps that are installed on the device. It populated them here, and it shows me the mobile app. And if I click on the little eye, I can get the information about which mobile device it's installed on. So if I have more than one mobile device, I can see that it's on my tablet or on my telephone, get the information about the mobile device. Now, NetNanny, along with inventorying the apps and telling you where they're installed, gives you the ability to block them as well. So just like our categories, if I click on any of these apps, you'll notice I can change its color from green to red. Red obviously is blocked, green is allowed. So what does that mean? We notice here that I've blocked Angry Birds. Well, let me show you what that looks like. I'm going to jump back here to my mobile device, and I'm going to go to my installed apps. Now you notice I got a really long list of installed apps, but I'm going to simply tap here on Angry Birds. And because NetNanny's blocking Angry Birds, you'll see that Angry Birds doesn't launch. So you as a parent, you can go in and see what apps are on your child's device or on your family's tablet, whatever you're managing, and you can choose to block apps that are maybe inappropriate, or you just think they're time wasters, or you don't know what they are, and so you want to investigate them a little more before you let your family use those applications. In addition to blocking apps outright, you'll also notice that here in the web admin console, I can control how new apps are installed or treated. So here under newly installed apps, right now mine is set to allowed. That means if my son Skippy picks up his cell phone, goes and installs a new app, he's going to be able to run it. But if I don't want him to run new apps until I approve it, I simply change this to blocked, and now when new apps are installed, they will populate in the list, but they will be marked red because they're blocked automatically. Another great thing about this is you can use the NetNanny features and security to stop the installation of apps altogether. So let's say maybe you get a family tablet and you get it set up the way you'd like, you get the games on it that you want your kids to play, your video player set up the way you'd like it, but you don't want anyone adding new apps to it. That could be for multiple reasons. Maybe you're concerned about people spending money in the marketplace that you don't want them to spend. Maybe you're concerned about malicious apps. Obviously we saw that information about how much data apps are using and how great the risk is of a malicious app on your device. There's lots of options here. So instead of just blocking apps that I don't want, I can actually use this utility to stop people from installing new apps. The way that you do that is you find the marketplaces that are installed on the device. So my device has the Amazon App Store installed, and as with most Android devices, the Google Marketplace installed. You'll notice that both of those are blocked. What that means is that when I go back to my mobile device, if I want to go to the marketplace or install an application, I'm unable to do so. So back here on my mobile device, I'm going to go to the Google Play Store, where most people go browse for apps, and you'll see that NetNanny has prevented that from loading. So this is how you can kind of lock your device down and stop people from loading the device, loading new apps onto the device. Now, a little bit more technical users, some teenagers, people who kind of like to work around the system, sometimes will install apps without going to a marketplace. It's called side loading. And now we can stop people from side loading it by simply setting the NetNanny to block the settings within the device itself. So on this mobile device, if I tap on settings and try to go to manage my applications, you'll notice that NetNanny blocks it from loading. Now the reason why this is important is because you can actually go in and stop people from sideloading apps by turning off what's called third-party applications. So it makes it very easy to manage within NetNanny the way apps get on your device. You can limit it to just the Amazon market or just the Google Play market, or you can block it altogether, really depending on what's important to you and how you want to manage the device, or how willing you are to lock it down. So that's kind of an overview of managing apps on the device. I'm going to jump back here real quick. Again, with this list will just auto-populate. Now, oftentimes, this list will get really long. And you won't know which of your devices this is actually installed on. So there's a couple things that you can do. For one, you can find out which device or user is associated with your profile, my Skippy profile, by going to the Devices tab. So here under Skippy, I can see that these two devices are associated with Skippy. An easier way to do this would just to go directly to the Devices tab. So here under Devices, I see a list of every device in my family that has NetNanny installed, and we see here the profile that's associated with it. So we see the Toshiba is associated with Skippy, and so is the HTC phone, which I'm looking at right now. If you want to put easy to remember names in for your devices, so HTC PC36100 isn't very easy to remember, so I'll say edit, and we'll just call this Skippy's phone. And save it. So now in the reporting, instead of an obscure number that's hard to remember, I have Skippy phone, and that makes it easier for me to identify who that user is or that device and see that in the reporting. And again, this is all done through the web, and anytime you make a change, it instantly replicates out to your mobile devices. So there's no rebooting or give me the mobile device or let me put in a password to make a change. You can do it all through this web console. And this is the way that NetNanny allows us to not only manage the content through the allowed and blocked categories, but also the applications that are on the device or that are available for running. And that's just kind of a unknown feature that's very powerful and allows you to get that true management that you want, that a lot of times people are unaware of. So categories, most people are familiar with NetNanny for blocking categories or websites. Also, you could add things to overrides to always allow or always block, but the lesser known is the ability to manage the apps on the device directly. And this is a great tool and provides you that peace of mind knowing exactly what's on the device and that something new isn't being added all the time or wondering what that application is. So that's kind of today's demonstration. I did want to open it up to any questions and see if there's anything I could answer, just to kind of give you an overview of what we covered today. Obviously, the NetNanny provides the content filtering, which everyone is familiar with. That filtered web browser, the ability to block categories or types of websites, mask profanity. But in addition to that, we can stop the installation of new apps, and that's simply by blocking Google Play, Amazon Market, and blocking the settings so people can't install third-party apps. We can stop apps from running until they're approved. The way that we do this is we simply set the settings within NetNanny to block newly installed apps until they're approved. We can see the list of all the installed apps. We can get the information about which device they're installed on. We covered how to obviously block apps directly by just changing them from green to red. And this allows you to be proactive, obviously, against things like malware and malicious apps. Most industry experts suggest that we only install apps that we know what they are, that come from reputable sources. So instead of just installing random apps to find out what they are, this allows you to kind of put some reins on your family of what apps get installed and then get information about what those apps are. You can also link directly to the app within the Google Marketplace to get information about what the app will actually do, and that's from the admin console as well. So that kind of covers the topic. I know today's short, but we hope that this is something that you and your family can use. If you're using NetNanny, please use this feature. It's great. It's powerful. If you've never used NetNanny before for Android, please jump over to the Android marketplace and try it out. The trial's free. All the functionality exists. We hope you find that it's something useful that you can use in your family. I'm going to go ahead and end the audio portion of today's webinar. I do see a few questions here. Let me see if I can maybe answer a couple of the questions before we end the audio portion. Let me see. Is there any way you could produce a list of apps that you recommend we block? Many of these seem innocent, but they might cause us harm. That is a great question. So on part of our FAQ, we used to have a list of recommended apps to block, but that list is very liquid, I guess would be a great word to say. It changes all the time, and so to stay on top of it, it's a little misleading for us to give you a list of 5 to 10 apps that you should block, because the apps change so frequently and the names of the apps are changing all the time. Obviously with 650,000 apps, there's a lot of things changing. That is something that I will bring up with our web team, though. There are some well-known reputable lists on the internet, and I will see if we can maybe provide links to those lists from our website, and maybe include that in our follow-up email that we'd be sending out to all of you. So that's a great option. One of the other options that says how do we stop people from going into settings. So settings is not really a check mark that you establish within the device. The way that settings works is that when you install the software on your mobile device, it prompts you to make NetNanny a device administrator. And basically you'll see a screen where you can just say continue. It will take you to a screen where you say I'm going to grant NetNanny to be a device administrator, and by doing this it will automatically lock you out of those settings that I mentioned under settings. So it's not something you turn off and on, it's an option that you choose as you go through the installation portion. And that's obviously how you stop the side loading and from people getting into settings. And the last one that several people are asking, obviously which is critical to our organization as well, is are we planning a business version of this? And the answer is yes. We are planning a business version. Much of the same functionality will be in the business version that's in the home version, but obviously the goal is to keep it easier to manage for a group, right? In a business sense, you don't want to manage one user at a time. You want to manage 50 devices for the customer service department and 50 for the marketing department. So that is something that's in the works. It's on the roadmap. It's something that we're planning for the 2013 year, but I couldn't tell you an exact date or even a quarter right now when it's supposed to be launched, but it is something that's in the works. We do have some organizations that are using it right now for business as well. It works fine, it's just the UI is not optimized for business use, obviously. I'm going to go ahead and close the audio portion of today's demonstration. Again, I wanted to thank everyone for attending, for their time. I want to encourage you to please stay on the call if you have additional questions. There are many of us that are going to try to answer those questions right through the Q&A portion as far as typing back and forth. And just be aware that we do also create kind of a generic version of these questions, and we'll try to post those on our website along with this recorded webinar within the next week. So if you have a friend that you think could benefit from this, or if you want to watch it again, if I did a poor job of going over the features and you need to see it again, I understand completely. And please go ahead and take a look at the webinar and share it with anyone that you think may be appropriate or interested. Again, thank you for your time, and I'm going to go ahead and end today's audio portion, and we're going to just stay on the call and answer any questions you may have.